Hey guys, welcome back. So today is September 1st, and so we are going to be doing my August wrap-up. I read I read 11 books in August, so we're going to go through all 11 of them. As far as my Goodreads challenge for the year goes, I'm doing really well. I am like 22 books ahead of schedule. My original goal for the year had been 100 books, but I think I'm going to be surpassing that. As long as everything stays on track, I should definitely be surpassing it. Like I said, I'm ahead of my goal. Like I said, it's September 1st, and I have read about 85 books. So about 15 more books until I hit my reading goal for the year, so I definitely think we can do that. I could probably do that in a good month of reading, and with fall coming up, September, October, those are the months I usually end up reading the most because I love fall time. I love just, the weather changes in Vegas. We get a little bit more rain, and it's just really conducive to more reading for me. I always read more like the second half of the year, so I think that I can definitely hit my Goodreads goal for the year before December, so that'd be awesome. So yeah, let's talk about the 11 books that I read in August. Okay, so the first book we're going to talk about is House of Salt and Sorrows. I'm going to put the cover up here. This was a reread for me. The second book in this duology came out, which is House of Roots and Ruin. Came out this month. I actually haven't gotten to it yet. But I reread House of Salt and Sorrow so that I could then move on to the second book. I really enjoyed this book. I actually think I may have enjoyed it more this time. I had completely forgotten what exactly it entailed. This book is very atmospheric and dark. It's set on a manor on an island that is very foggy and mysterious, and the sisters that live in this manor keep dying. I think originally there are 11 daughters, and they all keep dying. And then now there's only 5 or 6 left, I believe. And it's basically the mystery of what's happening to these sisters, what's causing these deaths. And like I said, the whole book is very atmospheric. It's got a real fairy tale vibe, quality to it. I'd forgotten a lot of what happened in this book. And like I said, I really enjoyed it. I think even more this time than last time. So I gave it 4 stars. The only thing that I don't love about this book is I feel like it's maybe drawn out a little bit too long. I think some of the things could have been left out. There are a couple, I don't want to spoil it, but there are a couple of different kind of branched off plot lines that I think weren't really necessary. I think maybe 10% of the book could have been cut out and it would have still been fine. So that's why I gave it 4 stars. But I'm really excited to see what the second book is going to be about, because House of Salt and Sorrow does kind of end on a good note. It ends in a place where this could be a standalone. So I'm not really sure what the second book's going to end up being about. Yeah, I highly recommend giving this one a read. I've read other books by this author, Erin A. Craig, and she writes very atmospherically and just really, though her writing just really draws you in to the story, and she really makes you feel like you're there, which I love, especially in this kind of dark, remote setting. So I highly recommend this one. Then the second book that I read in August is A Flicker in the Dark. I had actually started this in July and then didn't finish it. This was okay. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I predicted kind of what was going to happen very early on in the book. There were a couple of surprises, but the main instigator, the main reveal of the book, I guessed fairly early on. And again, it just kind of dragged out, and I felt like there were parts of it that weren't necessary. And there were a couple of red herrings that didn't really work for me. So yeah, this one was just alright. It wasn't a horrible mystery thriller, but it wasn't great either. I've definitely read better. The third book I read in August, though, was pretty good. This was a wild ride. So this was Clown in a Cornfield. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I don't love clowns. Clowns freak me out. So I didn't know if this one was going to end up freaking me out, if it was going to scare me more than maybe other people. There were some parts that were a little bit creepy. I'd read it at night, so that kind of played into it also. There is some body horror. But this was crazy. It was a pretty wild ride. It did not go the way I expected at all, which I really liked. It was corny. It was campy. It was basically your good, just fun corny slasher movie. It has good like social commentary, kind of is relatable to things going on in our society, in our country, things like that. So I really liked it. Like I said, it was definitely completely like opposite of what I thought it was going to be, which I ended up enjoying because it kind of kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time. So I gave this 4 stars, just for the like surprise that it ended up being and the wildness of the whole story, the craziness. There's actually a second book. I don't know if I'll end up reading that one or not. But this was fun. I enjoyed it. Then the next book I read was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Jennifer Lynn Barnes also wrote the Inheritance games, which I love that series. I love her characters. This is a YA series. It is basically Criminal Minds, but with teenagers. This is basically a group of kids who have these like inherent abilities to like read people. Some of them can like spot someone who's lying. They can tell people's like tells when they're lying. So they're basically like profilers for the FBI, but they're considered naturals because they don't need to like study it. They don't have to like go to, you know, the police academy or whatever it is to learn how to do these things. It just comes naturally to them. And so it's about these group of kids solving this mystery that's going on and coming together to form this group, working for the FBI. This is going to be These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I wish I had read this like 2 or 3 years ago or whatever it was that it came out. I've had this on my shelves the whole time. I got it from Book of the Month when it first came out and just never picked it up. This book was so good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I really liked the like smattering of Shakespeare references, of Romeo and Juliet references, but it wasn't like heavy-handed. I didn't feel like, yes, there were some characters who were named after characters from Romeo and Juliet. There were some references. I really enjoyed the like sprinkled in like lines, quotes from Romeo and Juliet. But this had the added like element of a like supernatural like monster going on in it, and I actually really enjoyed that. I felt like it made it even more different from Romeo and Juliet. I don't want to give away spoilers, but this is basically a tale of 2 like feuding families who live in Shanghai. They are like mob, like drug lord families, and they basically run Shanghai, and the 2 families have a blood feud. And they have their 2 heirs for both families. Juliet, who is the heir to one family, and then Roma, who is the heir to the other. And this is basically their story. I really enjoyed in this that they had like a backstory. They had been together previously, had broken apart through something that happened, and then ended up kind of coming back together to figure out this mystery of this monster that is killing people in Shanghai. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It didn't make it seem like it was like an insta-love type story. They had this like history and this like common knowledge of each other already that made it feel like the stakes were a little bit higher than if they had just met. I really enjoyed the side characters in this book. There is a trans character. There seems to be like there might be a male couple that's happening. I'm really excited to get into the second book of this. Again, this one kind of ended on a good note somewhat. It could have been made into a standalone, I think. But I am glad that the author Chloe Gong decided to make it a duology. I think it's just the 2 books. I'm excited to see what else is going to happen. I really like both main characters. Like I said, I love the side characters, and I thought the whole monster paranormal aspect was done well. So I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars, and I think it might have been one of my 2 favorite books of the month. The next book I read was After the Flood by Cassandra Montag. This was just okay, honestly. It was way too drawn out. I felt like a lot of it kind of wasn't necessary. This is about a flood that happens across the world, basically kind of like a Noah's Ark type thing. And humans basically have to learn to live like on very little, small amount of land that is left, and basically become nomadic and sailing from place to place, and mainly living on like boats on the water. And this is about a woman whose daughter is taken by her husband, and eventually sold into like slavery and basically like a human trafficking type thing. And she just keeps trying to get to her daughter. What I didn't really like is that she kind of ignores her younger daughter in favor of like her obsession with finding her older daughter. And she kind of forgets about the fact that she has her younger daughter and puts her younger daughter in a lot of like dangerous situations in an attempt to get her older daughter back. And so I just didn't like that she was kind of choosing one over the other. And this book was kind of depressing, honestly. Like it kind of makes you have like no faith in humanity at all. Like the idea that this huge flood would come, that so many people would die, that so much more of the earth ends up being taken up by water, and our whole like society collapses. There's no more, there's no electricity, there's no internet, there's no cell phones, like all of our technology's gone, and we're back to kind of like the basics of like human evolution, not evolution, but like human life. And still things like human trafficking and prostitution, like forced prostitution and like forced breeding of women, like all of the horrible things that happen in society now in real life are still happening in this like dystopian life and this dystopian world. And it's just really kind of bummed me out to think that like our whole society, our whole way of life could crumble and still human beings would be like terrible to each other. And yeah, so I just didn't love it. Like I said, I think it could have been done well. I really liked the idea of like a dystopian society, the earth covered in water. It could have been really cool, I think. I just did not like the execution of it. So yeah, I ended up giving that 3 stars. Then the next book we have is Fireborn. So this book is compared to Fourthwing a lot. It took a long time for me to get Fourthwing from my library, and most stores are sold out of it. So I read Fireborn first because I was able to get it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad, but I think I've definitely read better like books like with dragons and schools and like this kind of setup. I don't think I'll continue on with the series. It wasn't bad by any means. It definitely does not have the same hype that Fourthwing has. Which leads me into Fourthwing. I was finally able to get Fourthwing from my library. I loved it. Gave 5 stars. Having read Fireborn and then right away having read Fourthwing right after, can confirm Fourthwing is much better. I could see the comparisons between Fireborn and Fourthwing, but I definitely think Fourthwing had better execution and had a better story. This was really good. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I do have a whole reading vlog dedicated to Fourthwing. It's either up already or it will be. I ended up with so much footage because I had so many thoughts. Ended up with like 2 hours of footage and I had to work on cutting it down. So if it's not up already, it will be soon. I loved it. Check out that reading vlog to see my like specific thoughts. Then the last book I read in August is Haunting Adeline. I feel like this book has been all over TikTok. I keep seeing it. People talk about it a lot. I've seen it like all over booktube. And so finally I decided like, okay, I read Fourthwing. The hype was great. That was true. Let's see if all the hype about this book is true as well. So I was able to get Haunting Adeline through Kindle Unlimited for free. And I actually ended up liking it. It pulled me right in. I ended up like reading it within like 24 hours. I can see that the writing isn't like amazing. It's kind of your typical insta love, smutty, Kindle Unlimited romance. But I liked it. It's definitely pretty fucked up. It's got some crazy things that goes on in it. If you don't know, this is about a woman who just inherited her grandmother's house, and it seems that the house is like haunted. And it turns out that this woman actually has a stalker. And so basically through the progression of the story, she ends up finding out who the stalker is, and she ends up falling for her stalker, and they end up together, which in real life I think is a crazy concept, obviously. But in a fictional story, I actually liked it. The main character did kind of try to fight off her attraction for her stalker. She knew that what she was doing was crazy and irrational, and that she was in danger, and that it was crazy to want to, even be around someone who's stalking you, let alone actually having feelings for them and all those things. And so it wasn't just like all of a sudden she was okay with, oh yeah, I'm gonna date my stalker. You know, she definitely fought it, and it took a good portion of the book for her to kind of come to terms with what she was feeling. But I enjoyed it. There was like a little bit of a mystery thriller element, like secondary to what was going on. And I liked how that went. This book does end on a cliffhanger, which I don't love. But the second book is easily accessible, so I can just pick right up on the second one, so that's okay. I hate when books leave on a cliffhanger and then the next book doesn't come out for like a year. That did happen with These Violet Delights. That ends on a cliffhanger as well. But again, These Violet ends, the second book is already out, so I can just pick it right up, so it's not that big a deal. If either of these books weren't coming out for another year or something, then that would have been pretty upsetting to end on a cliffhanger. But yeah, I liked the Haunting Adeline. I gave it 4 stars. I think the writing just kind of kept it from being a 5-star for me. But I gave it 4 stars because, like I said, it did keep me engaged the whole time. And I was able to read through it fairly quickly because it kept my attention the whole time. So yeah, there you have it. Those are the 11 books that I read in August. My September reset TBR video will be coming out next. I'm excited for fall. I have a lot of reading vlogs coming up. Like I said, I hope that I will be able to finish out my Goodreads challenge in the next month or 2. And yeah, let me know what you read in August. Have you read any of these books? Did you read Fourthwing? What did you think of it? Do you think it's worth the hype? Let me know down below. And I will see you guys in the next one.